I might have a mini story.
Okay, it's all good.
I might have a mini story.
A premium account on X is required. Oh, that's right, because they changed everything for X. All right, so now.
Fucking Elon Musk. Hello, everyone.
I don't know that I can even get this. Hold on. Save. All right. All right. Well, I think we're live. Are we live? Yes, we are. We're live. Holy shit, that's great. It worked. Okay.
Live
Hey
on all the
guys,
channels.
welcome to another Storytellers Happy Hour. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and CEO of Running Wild and RIZE Presses, and I'm here with Teehee Hazlett, one of our phenomenal authors. And we are here with you once a month, where we basically just sit around, drink, and tell tall tales based on a prompt.
Yep.
So, with that, I'm actually now going to hand this off to Teehee so he can explain what we're going to do, how it's going to go down, and yeah. And by the way, if this is recorded, if you're watching the recording and you have any like questions or what have you, just go ahead and put it in the chat, because I check all of our comments um from the second it's recorded. Actually, now we start checking all our comments. So
Yeah.
definitely give us whatever you got. Just let us know. So with that, all right, Teehee.
I rewatched the whole thing like a week later, which is like kind of, you know how when you hear your voice in playback and you're like, oh God, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying to kill that in my brain by
yeah.
rewatching all of these episodes.
Oh my God,
But
that's so funny.
so yeah, so this is a happy hour. We're both imbibing, but it's a storytelling happy hour. So I have this deck of cards that come
Woohoo!
from the Moth.
Mhm.
Shout out once again to my friend Jenny who gave these to me as a birthday gift.
Thank you,
But they're
Jenny.
yay! Oh my god!
Yay!
Me and Jenny are planning a vacation next year. I'm so
Ooh.
excited, but like
Mm.
we we will have the details later. But it's gonna be
Okay.
amazing. But
Okay.
anyway, so the deck is they're cards like the same size as like a deck of playing cards,
Mm.
but they all have a different theme,
Mhm.
and you have to tell a story based on the theme.
Okay.
So the first card that I picked before we got on the call
Mhm.
was curveballs.
Curveballs. Okay. Okay.
A time in your life where you were dealt a curveball. Um, but also,
Oh.
like I was saying, I have like a mini story
Do
that
the
I guess
mini story.
maybe can fit into this in terms of curveballs.
Okay.
So my next book, Orbital Bebop, is going to come out next year. So I had to get an author photo. I live in Mexico.
Mm.
So I was like, there's a ton of lounge singers, cabaret singers here. I was asking everybody, like, refer me to a photographer that I can do my, like, you know, my author headshot.
Okay.
So I get a recommendation. I talk to this guy. He's actually a good friend of mine now. His name is Francisco.
Mm.
Super sweet guy. And he
Mm.
was like, oh, you're writing a sci-fi book, so we can do all sorts of crazy things for your author photo. And I'm
Okay.
like, no, no.
Why do you want it? Why would he want to do crazy things for the?
I don't know. I was
Excuse
like,
me.
I looked at other author photos of
Mm.
other science fiction writers, and they're
Mhm.
not crazy. They're very straightforward, mostly black and white, like 3/4 turn to camera
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
And he was like, but we can do all sorts of things. We can go outside, we can do it. And I was like, no, 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 no.
Ah, so he wants to have fun. That's the bottom line. He wants to
Yeah,
have fun. Got it. Okay.
yeah. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I am not eating like a green banana on camera out of like Port of Arts is
Ew.
that kind of town.
I don't. That doesn't actually sound appetizing.
Yeah, no. So, but I go to his studio,
Okay.
and it's like a legit professional studio with like all this lighting and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I'm 40, and when I was in
Oh,
my
you're a
20s,
baby.
I know, but when I was in my 20s, I was really obsessed with taking good pictures of myself. And now
Okay.
I'm older, I'm quite larger. I brought several shirts of different colors, solid
Mhm.
colors to change into to see how it like reacts to everything.
Mhm.
But like the seriousness and the thing that I was like, we're not going to do crazy shit. Like he had props. I was like, there are no props.
Okay.
It's going to be shoulder length, my face.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. Totally.
But once he got it, he was really, really good. And
Okay.
he was like, oh my God, there's so many kinds of things that we can infer based on how your like head is. You know, we can confer authority, we can confer like vulnerability just on like how your head is
It is.
turned.
Okay.
And so we were doing it was a little bit of a curveball because like I used to curate photos of myself. And then the best part of this, though, like once we knew we got the shot from the author photo and several other shots that I can use as professional headshots for other situations, he
Mhm.
was like, let's just play and have fun. And so, like, you know that scene in the movie where like someone's getting their like fashion pictures taken and you're like contorting yourselves in weird ways so that it looks good on camera, but it's like it doesn't look good. It doesn't
Like
feel
in
good.
person. Yeah, in
Yeah.
person you're like, "What the hell is this?" Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I start taking direction. He's like, put your shoulder down. I'm like, yeah, put your shoulder. Okay, lean this way. Oh, look to the left. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I start improvising. I started having my own Carrie Bradshaw moment
Oh, that's awesome.
where I was like, what if I do like this?
Yeah.
What if I do that? Like,
Mm.
I'm so glad no one was in the room. It was just me and the photographer.
I'm just glad you had a good time.
It was so much fun. We had a solid hour and it cost like 2,000 pesos, which is just a little over $100.
Ooh, nice. Oh, wow, that's great.
And he touched up all the pictures. I got over 10 really good
Really good?
professional photos.
Wow.
So I'm like, that was less than $10 a final product.
Photo?
Like,
That's huge, man. You did really well.
you cannot do that in LA for that same amount of money.
No. I mean, honestly, my pro photos were done by a dear friend who is a professional photographer. She is now out of Arizona, and her husband created a studio in her home. And she just got like when I told her, I'm like, honestly, I just need them all for online. Like I don't need actual printouts. I just need digital. She was like, "Oh, well," and honestly, she was so kind to me because she was like, "Look," she gave me a super huge deal and basically gave me all the photos. And what's so funny, to your point, the photos that in the moment she was like, "I know this feels weird, but just like I think you'd look amazing in this." She was spot on. All of the images that she had originally said, like, I know this feels weird, like they all came out. I mean, I look like I got like incredible, right? So yeah, I totally get it.
It is so weird. Like the photo that and I'm gonna send it hopefully tomorrow to Evangeline, is one that was like the most, I think, risky for me emotionally,
Got it. Yeah.
but turned out the
Understood.
best, which was a completely profile shot.
Oh,
And like
I could see why.
I have a big nose.
No, you
It's been
don't.
brought to my attention since childhood. And to do a complete profile,
You do not have a big nose.
I've been socialized to believe that I have a big nose.
Yeah, they're assholes. You
Yeah.
do not have a big. You did no.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I
I'm
mean, I'm
sorry.
learning that as I get older. I was socialized into a lot of thoughts about my appearance, my body that were not true. Uh,
Mm,
so it was really vulnerable to even just
understood.
do a profile shot.
Yeah. No, I get it.
It
I
was
d
like, oh,
I was socialized that I mean, honestly, so my my father's side of the family, they were all very like petite, I guess you could say. Both short, small, well, not both, but short, small boned, and like narrow. My mother's side was the complete opposite. So wide bone, like wide, big boned or bigger boned. And I I take after my mother's side, and my father's the one who raised me. So although he just didn't know. You know what I mean? Like he
yeah,
literally just didn't know that, oh, there's these two different, you know. So like I'll go to the doctor and they weigh you and all that kind of stuff. And every single time they're like, "Well, technically speaking, you're overweight, but I can tell by looking at you you're not." Like I know like you're and they'll go through this explanation. Like, "Oh, you're wide and you're bigger boned and like blah blah blah." And honestly, like, because I weight train, right? That's that too, right? So,
yeah,
but it's like I just so anyway, I totally understand. So in my head, like I know I'm body dysmorphic because in the course of the same day, one minute I'm like, "Oh my god," like I'm like bony, you know, from being, like wide and whatever. And then same day, I'll look in the mirror and I'll think, "Oh my god, I'm huge," right? Like it's just it doesn't make any sense. And I know why. Like even though logically I know why, it's like, but like I'm 52 years old. This isn't going to go away, right? Like
and we had like two when with the photographer that I did, we had like over 200 shots that he
Mm,
touched up all 200 of them. There are 12 that are really good, and there's one
12.
that I want, but that means there's a whole bunch of others that I was like, oh,
Well, no, the 12, you need to use those babies like for real, you know,
yeah. I was like,
because
that is my professional face for the next 10 years.
hell yeah, right? Totally. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
The
So,
body dysmorphia is weird because it is
isn't it?
lighting and angles where you're like, oh, I look a certain way, and then lighting and angles that don't match up, and you're like, oh, that is not how I see myself at all.
And for me, it's like because I was programmed that like if you're fat, no one wants you. So, like having that body dysmorphia, like the weirdest moment I ever had, which I realize this isn't our prompt, but I had all these men that I'm still friends with who I used to work with in like with different companies who I can't remember what prompted this, but they came to me and they were like, "I had the biggest crush on you." And I was like, "Well, what the fuck? You could have told me then, because then maybe I wouldn't have thought I was like this horrific." Now, mind you, if you're watching and you're one of the gentlemen who kindly reached out to me and said, "Hey, I had a big crush on you," I love you for even just being willing to admit that you had a crush on me, because that takes balls. But from my body dysmorphic perspective, like if I honestly change that. It's so um ingrained in me that even if I mean, so this is seriously how I am with everything, and I have some friends who know this because they get pissed off, and they should because it's really annoying. But like if someone is like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" Like it could be a book I write, a story I write, it could be a picture of me, like, "Oh my god, you're gorgeous," right? Whatever. I won't believe it. I'll immediately assume that whoever it is that's doing it is saying this because they're a friend of mine and they're being kind to me, right? And like if you're one of those people and you're watching, I apologize. I know it's really annoying. I know it's shit. And I know but I don't know how to not do that.
I think that's a natural writer thing.
You think so?
I
I
think it
mean,
is.
yeah, and I mean I do it all. So again, I apologize and I try not to, but I mean I don't tell them outright, but I think the way I respond, they can tell when I'm like, "Oh, thank you, that's so kind," right? They're like, "Look, I'm
Mhm.
not being kind." I'm like I'm being real. And yeah, so
This
sorry.
is also a tangent, but like on that, like so my mom, I gave her the manuscript of Orbital Bebop and she
Mm,
read it.
By the
And
way, Cody loved it. Just FYI. Just
yay!
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, my
He was
mom
excited when you got it.
also loved it, but she couched it because like my mom knew me because she's like, look,
Mm,
I've been reading your short stories since you started writing them in third grade.
oh my
And I've
God.
read literally everything that you've ever written
Your
ever
mom is the shit.
since.
Your mom is the shit. For
She's
real.
she's like, when I say I love it, I'm not saying it as a mom. I'm saying it as somebody who's read your work for like 25 plus years.
Wow.
And I was like,
Teehee,
oh,
that's
that's
huge.
right. Like she has read everything. And like, so then her insights became like way more important. But then
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
terrible
yeah.
because in marketing, you can't say, well, my mom thought this was a dramatic leap in my evolution as a writer. Like, no one's going to.
No, no, I
But
get
it's
that.
true, my mom thought that.
I love your mom for owning that. You know what I mean? Like, and for even saying, like, yeah, yeah, that's huge, man.
Yeah. And she's like, I've read everything you've written. And I thought about it. And I was like, she has read everything I've written. I've written a lot
Mm.
of inappropriate stuff. My mom didn't shy away from it. Um, that could maybe even be its own curveball story. Should we get into our curveball
Yeah,
stories?
let's get into our curveball stories. Go, you go first because I'm still kind of like, I'm still kind of figuring it out, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Okay. I hope I, so
Ooh,
thinking
I've got
about my
one.
mom, I am going to do a curveball story.
Mm,
The first writing that I ever did that got published was a nonfiction essay that I wrote in a
okay,
creative nonfiction class. The
okay,
assignment was to write a nonfiction essay about some sort of question in your life that you haven't answered and then answer it in the essay.
okay.
And like shout out
Got
to
it.
Sonia Huber because that was my professor.
Woo! Woo!
So at the time I had just finished like fucking this guy who was in the army
Ooh, was he
and he had
hot?
to go to Iraq. Yeah.
Okay.
So and we were trying to have some sort of long distance, but it was all weird
Thing.
because he was
That's
straight.
a lot.
And like I
Oh,
won't say
give
his
me a
real name.
fucking break.
He's
Whatever.
straight now.
Mhm.
Whatever. I wish him the best. But we
Whatever.
had a really good connection.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and so I wrote this whole essay. The essay opens with this man fingering me, and
Okay.
then it like goes through a whole thing, and it goes through our whole little relationship up
Okay.
until the exact moment of truth. And then
Okay.
after the verb tense shifts and it goes into speculation, where I get my resolution
Okay.
as to
Okay.
what this relationship, which was it was an important relationship, but it was not a relationship that was going to last.
Got it. Okay. That's
Decades
fair.
later, barely an important relationship. Love the guy, he's amazing. Wish the best for you.
Got it.
Um,
Okay.
but like ultimately, I've had various significant relationships since. But so I got that story published while I was an undergrad, and then I think it was Thanksgiving break. So I go back to my family in Atlanta. My mom, I take the Greyhound bus. I get there, and my mom answers the door in like her like nighty moo thing. Her hair's a little frazzled. And I'm like, what's going on? And I step inside, and then there's this random man I've never seen just in his boxers. And I'm like, okay, mom. And like no one else is home. I love my mom. Like,
leave it there. It's all good.
Love my mom. I'm like, I'm glad you're getting some. That was really obvious. And my mom was like, oh, my son Teehee, he's a writer. He actually just got something published in a literary journal. And I ordered a copy. So she has it.
Okay.
And so this older black man is trying to act like it's totally normal that like they're both in their underwear and I'm just like the person who showed up.
Yeah,
And we're in the kitchen, and I think I started drinking vodka. Like it was the middle of the day, but I was like, I need something to take the edge off.
Right. Yeah.
And my mom was like, you know, post coitus, also wanting to stop.
Yeah.
So we do that. But then my mom was like, let me read this essay that he wrote, which again starts with me being fingered by a man in the army before Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed.
Yeah.
And it is a whole scene. And me and this man I've never met before, we're just sitting there together. I'm fully clothed. He is not. He's obviously straight because he just had sex with my mom.
Right. Well, or at least bi. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm going to assume straight. But it was awkward. It was so awkward that I was like, because I was describing digits entering places and moving. And then I was like, Mom, I love you, Mom. Maybe I should read the rest of this essay.
Right? Like, ooh.
And she was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, thanks, Mom.
Oh my God. That is hilarious.
That is a curveball. Writing a sex scene without knowing your mom is going to read that.
Right?
And from some guy she just had sex with, who that relationship didn't last either.
Well, come on now. You knew that. You knew that was going to happen.
So just random guy.
Wow. Yeah, so he's no longer anywhere. No. Okay. So, all right. So, so my curveball was I was on this now I can't remember what it was called, but there was this app where it was just a social media app, right? And like you could meet people, you know, that kind of thing. And a lot of people use it for dating, right? So which was nice because it was like no pressure. Like it wasn't necessarily a dating app, but a lot of people used it for that, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, so this incredibly hot man, African American, long dreads, buff, like you name it, kept showing up on my feed. And I was like, he would never like go for me, whatever. So I kept like not declining it, but like dismissing it, if that makes sense. Right. And I thought, you know what? Actually, he sounds really interesting. Like it would be cool to just talk. Cause I just assumed he would be like, right. Like he's probably getting it from like women all over the place who are like incredibly gorgeous. Right. So I was like, I don't even know why he keeps showing up on my feed. Like he's getting it from like fucking Playboy bunnies. Like this doesn't make any sense. Right. So we started just talking, and it turned out we had a lot in common. Like, and like we both went to Quaker school, which anyone who's never been to Quaker school, you're like, whatever. But anyone who has been to Quaker school, you're like, ah. And we had very like identical belief systems and, excuse me, and all this stuff. So we had agreed to meet up at a cafe. I mean, as friends, just to hang out, totally friends. So I show up, and this man, holy fuck, Teehee, was stunning. I mean, like, I could barely talk stunning. Like, where you're just like, holy shit, you're a human being? Really? Like, you're holy. And it's one of those, like, okay, put it together, pull it back together, pull it back together, right? And I'm like, hi, I'm Lisa. It's lovely to meet you, right? So we literally closed the cafe. We talked that long, and they gave us, the cafe gave us a bag of their leftover pastries because they were like, we're going to throw them out anyway. Like, if you guys want them, you're welcome to them. So we're like, oh, okay. So we go and we get the bag, and we jointly give it away to like this like these musicians who were just like kind of playing on the street corner, whatever. So anyway, so after that, I mean, it was like we were constantly like just finishing each other's sentences and, all this stuff. And he just turned to me and he was like, I like you more than a friend. And I was like, holy shit, this is like a miracle. Right? Yeah, totally. So, and then we kissed, and that we've been together. He then, and that wasn't the curveball, by the way. I mean, it was a curveball, but so after that, I mean, we just were like constantly together. And he then, I got a job offer in LA, and I was like, well, I don't want to take it unless, because he's a musician, right? He's a musician and a producer. And I was like, I don't want to take this gig unless you can come with me. Like, no, this doesn't mean I'm not saying like we don't have to marry or anything like that. Like, I'm just saying like, but like, I don't like, this is cool because it's this bizarre combination of like best friends and like lovers and like the whole, like all of it, right? And so he, like, literally, so see, he goes, all right, well, let me think about it. So like the next day he comes back, he's like, yeah, okay, I'm down, right? Like, we can do it. So he comes to me, and no joke, do you remember Chris Madden? Okay, so for those of you watching, so Teehee and I, we graduated from the same MFA program, and Chris Madden was one of our fellow students. And for my graduation, Chris was super kind, and he let me and the gentleman I'm speaking about, his name is Bobby, me and Bobby stay at his home for graduation. So literally, I go graduate, and that morning, I go to the bathroom and I like shower and all that stuff. And there on the table is an engagement ring. And he was just like, Bobby Ray was like, I love you. I want to marry you. Like, what? And I was just kind of like, hell yeah. Now, I mean, like, there was not a question. Like, hell, fuck yeah, right? Now, my husband is, now I wish I had a picture. Hold on. Like, I want to, so people
I
understand.
remember meeting him.
Yes. And he proposed at Chris Madden's home, and we then moved to Los Angeles, and we have been married for like 11 years. So yeah. And so for folks watching, like, I'm trying to get to more from a so you understand like why I was like, holy fuck nut, like when he proposed, because the man is, I mean, he's not just stunning physically, he's stunning, like, he's in he's brilliant. He's emotionally intelligent. He's evolved, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. But like, so it was one of those where I was just like, maybe this is a good way to put it. My husband's he's a Buddhist. I'm technically agnostic. My husband is Buddhist. So, and of course now I can't like get to his site.
Satanist. I'm a full-on Satanist.
No shit. Really? So okay.
Yeah.
So transition. Why? Why are you a Satanist? Like, what made you say like this is where I want to be?
Satan gets a bad rap, and Satanism gets a bad rap. Like,
Okay.
I actually prefer not to like put myself on an identity in the spectrum of Judeo-Christian Islam identities.
Yeah.
But if forced to, where I lie is Satanism.
But like, what does that mean?
Oh my God, this is a whole big tangent. Satan is kind of like, there's like, I've done a lot of research and stuff like that. There's core tenets of Satanism, which boil down to trust yourself and question authority.
Oh,
and when you
interesting.
See things,
so that's the bottom line of Satanism?
Yeah. And when you see things that don't align, speak out. Like, they are literally the only religion on the planet that is baked into their religion reproductive rights to get an abortion.
Well, I'm down with that. I mean,
from the Satanic Temple, that is a religious right that you have.
Interesting.
To get an abortion. They're very pro-choice. They're very pro-choice about everything. And they're very much like, your journey is your journey. And like, question authority, understand yourself, and reconcile your experience with a critique of authority and see where you land.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which is not, it's not like, we're sacrificing children. No. I tell people like,
children. I'm sorry.
This is a curveball too, just thematically. But like, Satan for me is all about love and understanding.
Oh wow. Well, that's kind of cool.
And people usually have a reaction to that. I'm like, no, but that's real. We should question authority.
Yeah. Now, I'm agnostic.
We should.
I just kind of believe that there's a shit ton we don't know or understand, and we should just respect each other's belief systems. And so,
yeah,
period. Like, that's it. That's it. And I just get annoyed when people decide that they are going to decide for someone else what their belief system is, but it's based on their belief system. I'm like, but you don't know. You don't know. You absolutely have no idea what reality is. None of us do, because our belief systems are based on something that someone else had recorded in some capacity, and that was based on their own internal like thing. So yeah,
linguistically, when you go through to the very early origins of Satan, is not the devil. It is the questioner, the person who is there to debate.
Oh, that's interesting.
On behalf of somebody. or
Okay.
on behalf of an idea or whatever. And that actually, like, low key, because a lot of things that we think are Christian actually predate Christianity. So, like, the
Agreed.
concept of Satan predates Christianity. It
Agreed.
was the
Yeah.
advocate, the arguer, the person who's like, you bring a point, I'll bring a counterpoint.
Mm.
And to me, that's the essence of Satanism.
Hmm.
Like, if you're gonna come at me in a Judeo-Christian Islam lens, I'm
Mm.
gonna come back at you in the Satanism lens, because
Oh,
like
interesting. Okay.
that's that's the field that we're in. That's not totally how I feel, because I don't like to describe my spirituality as solely in that
Agreed.
lane.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So outside that lane, it's different things and it's amorphous things. But if we're going to be in the Judeo-Christian Islam lane,
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Satan. And Satan gets a bad rap.
All right. So I vote we do another card. I think we should do another card because we still
We
have like a
totally
half
should.
hour.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
really, really have to use the restroom.
Go. Go
Okay, okay.
use your restroom.
I'll go use the restroom real quick and I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, guys.
All right.
So while he's gone, just so you guys know, we have some amazing books coming out in September. And we also have some amazing books coming out in October. If you are in the Los Angeles area, I actually have a book coming out in October called Family Pack. See it behind me. And if you're into it, I want you to go to runningwildpublishing.com, sign up, reference Family Pack. Let me know, because what I will do is I will enter you so that you will be part of a pool of individuals who will be considered for anything from slippers that look like wolf feet. Honestly, they are so fucking fun. Seriously, they are so fun. Anything from that to an ebook. If you want a paperback, guess what? You've got it. I will send you a paperback. And all of this just going to runningwildpublishing.com. Again, just sign up for updates from us. We are doing our best to make sure that all of our updates are relevant. And what I mean by that is it's something that you might be interested in. I don't want you bored. I really don't want you to get annoyed. I mean, honestly, guys, I wake up in the morning and seriously, I've got like some ridiculous number of emails. I mean, like, I want to say almost 1,000, and maybe all but 50 are anything that I actually may want to look at. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that for you. I want our actual emails to have meaning for you. So please don't worry. We're not going to send you a bunch of shit. We're just going to send you stuff that it's like, hey, we've got this great stuff coming out. Boom, boom, boom. And I hope you know this. If in case you don't, we actually work our asses off to make sure the stories we put out are fucking killer. I mean, killer. Across genres, killer. Because guess what? People in today's world, they don't just read romance. They don't just read horror. They don't just read literary. I mean, we all read everything. It's got to just be a great story, period. And that is how we approach everything we put out. So if it's from Running Wild, if it's from Rise, it's got to be a great story, period. So we're not going to send you stuff. We're not going to send you newsletter updates. We're not going to send you whatever unless it is something that it is fabulous. So just keep that in mind. Sign up for our newsletter. Just go ahead and know that you're in the running for whatever ebook you want, whatever paperback you want. Boom. And that's it. If you have feedback, please give us the feedback. We want the feedback. Okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Dope.
Yes.
Now with that, I will now. All right, what's our next?
I pulled two.
Okay.
I pulled one card that I'm kind
Okay.
of into, which is Cravings.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And another one that is Landmarks.
Which one are you kind of? I'm kind of leaning toward Cravings.
I'm leaning towards Cravings. I will say that I picked Landmarks because I'm that idiot of a person who can't give you directions without being like, you know, that tree that looks like it has like a gimp arm. Like when
Oh
you
my
reach
God, that's
that
awesome.
tree, you're 5 minutes away from over like going your what. Like I give the worst directions, and
Yeah.
they're entirely landmark dependent.
Ah, I was wondering where you're going with that. Okay. I'm
So
fine
I'm
with
like,
either.
I tell the cab drivers, I'm like, we're gonna go past the bar with the drunk people, not that bar, the other bar.
The other bar with the drunk
The
people.
one
Oh my
where
God,
the
that
person
is
is
so
on the
awesome.
sidewalk outside of it. You know that one. And then we're just gonna keep going straight. Why did I have to say that? I didn't have to say that.
That's awesome.
I
Okay.
just say it. But
Okay.
no,
Okay.
we're gonna do Cravings.
Cravings. Okay. All right. Okay. Cravings. I feel like Love Bug, you need to go first because I'm figuring it out.
I have nothing prepared, but I will
You don't have to have
present
anything prepared.
in this essay. I will talk about Taco Bell and what it's like when you live in the United States and you're not a fan of Taco Bell, but occasionally you eat Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you move out of the United States, there is no Taco Bell. And suddenly that's all you think about. When you think
Really?
about yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
So many trips. Like I went back to visit my family. I don't get to visit my family that often for reasons. And I went back. My
good.
niece was graduating high school.
Mhm.
My all of my sisters came to pick me up at the airport,
Okay.
and my mom and my nieces, not my nephews. But they were like, "Oh, this is your first trip to the United States since you moved to Mexico a couple of years ago. What do you want to do? What do you want to see?" And they were like, "We can go to like the world of Coca-Cola. We could go to like Olympic Park."
And you're like, hell no, Taco Bell.
And yeah, I was like, I really want to go to Taco Bell. And they were like, don't they have tacos in Mexico? And I was like, yes, we do.
It's not the same thing.
We actually have real tacos, but I don't want real tacos. I want the terrible American fake version of tacos.
Wow.
That's what I want. I want all the forever chemicals labeled as taco because I've been eating such fresh food all the fucking time.
That's awesome.
I want something radioactive and garbage.
It is totally. Oh my God, it's totally radioactive and garbage. Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay.
Awful. It's bad for me. So the full circle. Last year, I'm in Oakland for a work trip, and they put us in a hotel that's right across the street from a Taco Bell.
Oh my God, you lived there.
And I was like, oh, I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to reconcile the different nations that are in my brain. Like I'm from the United States. I live in Mexico. Like I'm trying to and I'm trying to eat healthier, which means that I can't, by definition, eat at Taco Bell.
Yeah, kind of.
As much as it's delicious, and it's only delicious because it's artificial. And I hope we don't get sued by Taco Bell. I love you, Taco Bell. I have deep love.
Right,
It
right.
does not like McDonald's, like all fast food. It doesn't taste like real food. It
Yeah,
tastes
yeah.
like an aspirational version of food.
But there is something about it that it's just like you can't eat it fast enough.
If Disney World did food,
It would be
it
Taco
would be
Bell.
fast food. And it would be Taco Bell. And so I lived in a hotel for 4 days
Okay.
across the street from a Taco Bell. But I was like trying to honor this commitment of eating better and like trying not to fall back into, I mean, it's like the first 2 to 3 trips back to the United States
Okay.
from living in Mexico, I
Mm.
would gain like 20 pounds. So I ate like garbage. I was like, I want Taco Bell, I want McDonald's, I want Hamburger Helper, I want I want all the foods that are bad for me.
Yeah, yeah. But within a week, you would lose that 20 pounds because it would be like,
Yeah, I would get back, my clothes wouldn't fit, but after a week I'd be fine.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm like, that's not sustainable. That's not good. So this is how I outsmarted Taco Bell. Before I went to bed every night, because they're open late. We know that whole
Mm.
ad campaign. They're open till like 3 o'clock in the morning. So of
Yeah, yeah.
course, when the hotel bar closes, I go outside and I would go outside and smoke a cigarette, and I would stare directly at the Taco Bell and just smoke.
Yeah, yeah.
And every time my body wanted to move, I was just like, no,
That is
no.
hilarious.
And I didn't eat Taco Bell. And thank God there wasn't a Jack in the Box, because I would have lost my cool.
Oh, that's a whole nother. Yeah.
Jack in the Box, a whole.
Mm-mm. So when I was in high school, like we did this internship thing. So for those who don't know, so I used to be on Dance Party USA and Dancing on Air, and I was a dancer, and I was also a, a host, because what they would do is they would pick not producers, they would pick regulars, and they would say, okay, you are now one of the hosts, and so you're hosting this segment. And a segment just basically means a time period within that 1 hour time frame. It's really just the time the show is on in between commercials. Does that make sense? Okay. So I had been on both again Dance Party USA and Dance on Air, and I was an intern, and there was a point where our Auntie Geary, who was the host, I don't know what happened. I have no idea. But to this day, I can see him in my head going, "That's it, I'm fucking done." And he just like, like out of the studio. And I was like, holy shit. Because I'm like, 16, 17 years old, and I'd been on the show for like a year, and I'm watching the host basically jet, and I don't know what's going on. And I'd been an intern, so the executive producers were like, okay, so oh my god, what are we gonna do? Blah blah blah. And I was like, well, why don't you have the regulars host? And it was like you could see them go, oh, like it was like the magical epiphany, right? And I'm like, because we all know how to talk on camera. We're all used to doing this. We know how to handle segments. We know how to do, like, we all, like, why don't you just have us? Why don't you just have
Of
us be the
course, the
host?
executives couldn't come up with the smartest, obvious idea that a teenager could see, because the executives don't know.
They don't know. They just had no idea. So they went, yes, absolutely. So I think they gave me like executive producer creds for like 2 shows maybe, because I was like, hey, why don't you do this instead? And yeah. Now what is also kind of hilarious about all this is, fast forward like, 15 years, and I didn't saying this out loud, it sounds asinine, so I apologize, guys. I didn't realize as a teenager that I had actually been thoroughly trained by my father, who was a radio personality, and by Dance Party USA and Dancing on Air, how to speak on air. TV, radio, film, you name it. Like I've been trained to do all this. So I actually I signed up for a class, and oh my god, Teehee, I was so goddamn bored. I was like, seriously? You think this is what it takes to be on the air? Like, if this is what you think it is, I'm out.
I've had
Like,
several radio jobs only because I was born and raised in Iowa,
mm,
and we don't really need to learn. We're pretty good. We're pretty
yeah,
good at
yeah.
the neutral American accent.
Ah, that makes sense, actually.
The very first, automated phone menu you had to go through, where it was like this woman who was like, press 1 to blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
She was from Marion, Iowa. And it was
really?
like 30
Oh,
minutes from my
cool.
hometown.
Okay. Good for her.
We're like, I got hired so many times, not to derail your story,
I'm
but
fine.
like,
That was
I've
it.
gone in to interview for a radio job and I just start talking and they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, Iowa. And they're like, you're hired.
Really? Wow.
As I get older, my accent is fusing with different things. But when I was younger, I sounded like an Iowan. I think I still hear it.
Honestly, for me, like, so I grew up in New Jersey, but I learned, like, my father taught me to not have an accent. So I learned how to like turn it on and turn it off. And I catch accents, which I don't know. So for those of you who may not be familiar, if when you are in the entertainment industry, oftentimes like people have accents and they don't realize they have accents. And so I grew up and growing up, I learned very quickly how to catch accents. And so I want to say 9 times out of 10, I'm reflecting the accent that the person has presented to me. It's not that it's my accent. I don't know. Teehee, I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was really that way until I lived in the South, but also my
Mm,
family moved from Iowa to Atlanta. So
okay.
they all have Southern accents, but we didn't grow up that way. And I went to college in rural South Georgia, so I had a Southern accent for a while. And I had to break it in New York City, of all places. So you
Mm,
break it, but it gets replaced with other things that are not. So like one of my best friends that I've known since I was like 18 years old, he's like,
mm.
I can still hear the Iowa in you. But people I talk to are like, I can hear that you lived in the South. I can kind of
Oh,
hear that you maybe lived in New York, but I can definitely hear that you lived in the West Coast. And
now
I'm like, but I
that's
lived in all
interesting.
three of those places. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Honestly,
become,
no one comments on my accent in any capacity. So I'm just assuming that it's more of because I'm so reflective of what people are bringing forward, they don't note it, if that makes sense.
that totally makes sense. And this might be a curveball, but the last time I was in LA, people are really great. And like Los Angelinos, they volley back and forth with you. Was my last experience in LA.
That's true.
Which
Now
is
you
very
do
much
understand you are coming back soon and we're hitting up our fave places. So I'm just saying.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right.
Actually, yeah, we should talk about that because I have some time early September.
All right.
Which
Then
is soon.
all right. So soon we'll get off this and let's talk about that. Cool. All right. Awesome. All right. So with that, I'm going to thank everybody for listening to us just kind of babbling as we drink.
We told some
Love
stories.
you guys. We told some stories. We didn't just tell one. We both told at least two. So with that, love you guys. Thank you for just watching. If you need anything, go ahead, put something in the comment section. We love you and we will see you next time.